When God is preparing to give you something extraordinary, it rarely arrives in the way you expect. The road to greatness is often marked by trials, hardships, and profound moments of uncertainty. In life, there are no true shortcuts to meaningful success, and the journey to realizing the deepest dreams of your heart is never easy. But when God is setting you up for a remarkable blessing, He doesn't simply hand it to you. Instead, He molds you into someone who can sustain and steward that blessing. This transformation is rarely comfortable. You'll start to feel as though you're being pushed beyond what you thought were your limits. Things that once felt familiar or dear may start to fall away. Old habits will be disrupted, relationships may shift, and your world might start to feel confusing and unstable. But it is in these very moments of unease that God is at work within you, refining and readying you for what lies ahead. He doesn't simply present the gift, He ensures you're prepared to carry its weight with grace and responsibility. Often, that preparation takes the form of a season of pruning, a time of removing what no longer serves your growth. God strips away distractions, toxic connections, and misplaced desires to clear the way for something more substantial. It's uncomfortable, yes, and it can feel like loss. But just as a gardener prunes a tree so it can bear more fruit, so too does God refine you, not to harm, but to increase your capacity to carry what He has in store. You may not understand why the struggle is necessary at the time. Pain, setbacks, and emotional valleys can cloud your clarity. Yet every tear, every disappointment, and every closed door is part of a deeper preparation. The process is critical. It's not about punishment, it's about positioning. God is aligning your character with your calling. Without this alignment, the blessing could become a burden. But in His wisdom, He ensures that you are equipped, not just outwardly, but in your spirit, to carry what is coming. During these seasons, you'll face tests of faith, endurance, and trust. There will be times when you feel depleted, when it seems the promise is far off and doubt creeps in. But remember, God's tests are not meant to crush you. They are designed to strengthen and shape you. He allows these challenges because He knows you are capable. He sees your potential even when you can't. He believes in your ability to rise above it all, even when you feel like giving up. This season of waiting and feeling stuck is not wasted time. It's a classroom for spiritual growth. It's where you learn patience, trust, and dependence on God. Look at any powerful story of transformation, whether in Scripture or in the lives of those around you, and you'll see a common theme. Before the elevation, there is always a season of preparation. David, before becoming king, endured years of solitude and danger. He faced betrayal and lived in the wilderness. But in that wilderness, God was shaping a warrior and a ruler. Joseph endured betrayal, slavery, and prison, but each step was a rung in the ladder to his destiny. These examples are reminders that hardship often precedes honor. When God is about to give you something life-changing, He may remove people and opportunities that no longer align with His plan for your life. It can feel like rejection. It may seem like doors are slamming shut all around you, but these are not denials, they are redirections. God is removing anything and anyone that could hinder your progress or distract you from His purpose. The loneliness you may feel is not abandonment, it's divine isolation. In solitude, He captures your attention, He sharpens your vision, and He prepares your heart to fully receive what's coming. One of the clearest signs that God is preparing something big is a growing inner unrest, a spiritual stirring that you can't quite explain. You begin to long for more meaning, more purpose, more depth. This discontent isn't negative, It's divine. It signals that your spirit is awakening to a new chapter, that your current season no longer fits where God is taking you. It's like standing on the edge of something new and vast, sensing that everything familiar is about to shift. That stirring is God's gentle whisper, calling you forward. As this transformation unfolds, you may notice that what once satisfied you no longer does. Things that used to bring comfort or joy may feel empty. Goals you once chased may begin to seem small. This isn't depression, it's growth. God is realigning your desires with His will. He is changing your appetites and guiding your heart toward what truly matters. You'll find yourself drawn to purpose, passion, and calling, not just success or recognition. Your priorities will change, and your vision will sharpen. It's essential to hold on to faith during this time, especially when the road ahead is unclear. God operates on His own timeline, and though it may feel delayed, His timing is always perfect. The very struggles that seem like setbacks are actually setting the stage for your elevation. They're not random, they're part of your training. Each obstacle is building your capacity. Each moment of waiting is developing the maturity and spiritual endurance you'll need when the breakthrough arrives. If you can remain grounded in faith, if you can hold on through the discomfort, you'll come out the other side stronger, wiser, and ready. You'll be prepared not just to receive the blessing, but to carry it in a way that honors God and blesses others. And when that moment comes, you'll see that none of the pain was wasted. It all served a purpose. When God is getting ready to release something significant into your life, He not only grants strength and insight, but also calls you to action. Faith is powerful, but faith alone is not enough. You must pair it with movement. He will ask you to step forward, to act, even when the path is unclear, even when your heart is trembling. This is where trust becomes obedience. God doesn't bless hesitation, but He honors bold steps taken in faith. If you move when He says move, even if you don't know the outcome, you align yourself with His plan. So if you find yourself in a difficult season, overwhelmed, uncertain, uncomfortable, don't lose heart. These are not signs of failure. They are signs of divine preparation. God is getting you ready for something greater. Embrace the process. Don't resist the pruning, the discomfort, or the detours. Trust that each moment is shaping you into the person you need to be to handle what's ahead. When the promise is finally fulfilled, when the doors open and the blessing is placed in your hands, you will be prepared. You will carry it not in fear, but with wisdom, strength, and grace. And you will look back and understand why it had to happen the way it did. God's way of preparing us for blessings is often misunderstood. We look for signs of favor in ease, in quick answers, in smooth paths, but more often His favor looks like trials, like silence, like seasons of waiting. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Just like a craftsman who spends time shaping, polishing, and testing a masterpiece before presenting it to the world, God shapes us before unveiling the next chapter of our lives. The hardships you face, whether they're relational, financial, emotional, or spiritual, are all part of a refining fire. That fire doesn't destroy, it purifies, it clarifies, it brings to the surface what needs to be healed, released, and redefined. And in that process, you become stronger. You become someone who is not only capable of receiving the blessing, but of maintaining and multiplying it. You might be tempted to pray the pain away, to ask for the struggle to end, but if you could see what God sees, if you knew the scale of what He's preparing for you, you'd understand why the fire is necessary. You'd stop asking for it to end and start asking for the strength to endure it, because what's coming is far too important to be rushed. We often admire the end result, the success, the glory, the breakthrough, without fully grasping the process behind it. But every great testimony is forged in the shadows of struggle. The pressure you feel is not a sign of defeat. It's a sign that something powerful is forming. Just like diamonds are formed under immense pressure, so too are you being formed in the heat of your challenges. Let this truth anchor you. The struggle has purpose. The pain is not wasted. The waiting is not pointless. Every tear, every setback, every late night and quiet prayer, it's all adding up to something greater than you can imagine. Stay the course. Trust the process. And when the appointed time comes, you'll be ready not just to receive the blessing, but to walk in it with strength, wisdom, and gratitude. Because in the end, you'll come to realize that it was all part of the journey that led you to a place where you are better equipped, more mature, and more abundantly blessed than you ever thought possible. When God is preparing to bless you with something extraordinary, He often begins by pruning your life, removing people, things, and situations that no longer align with the destiny He's set before you. You may find yourself going through seasons where you face unexpected changes. Relationships may drift apart, and opportunities you once thought were essential may suddenly fall away. Initially, this can feel painful. It may seem like you're being abandoned or that everything is slipping through your fingers. But what if these changes are not signs of loss, but signs of something greater taking form? This process of pruning is essential for growth. Think of how a gardener tends to a vine or tree. For it to flourish and yield more fruit, the gardener must carefully cut away the dead, damaged, or overgrown branches. It's not done to harm the plant, but to help it thrive. In the same way, God prunes areas of your life, not to punish, but to prepare. The things or people that were once beneficial may no longer have a place in the next chapter of your journey. God allows certain elements to be removed so that your life can be opened up to new blessings and greater purpose. It's important to understand that these losses, however difficult they may be, are not the conclusion of your story. They are steps within God's bigger plan to prepare you for what lies ahead. God sees the complete picture, far beyond what we can see. He knows what opportunities await, what challenges are coming, and who needs to be a part of your future. Some relationships, roles, or habits were only meant to be temporary. They've served their season, and now it's time for them to be released so you can move forward. Though it may hurt, sometimes God has to remove what is holding you back in order to elevate you. This isn't about rejection, it's about promotion. Think of it as releasing baggage. If you're weighed down, you can't move freely, and certainly not at the pace you're meant to. The pruning process is God's way of helping you lighten the load and sharpen your focus. It's about clearing the space in your life so that you can pursue your calling with clarity and direction. When people or circumstances exit your life, it can feel disorienting. But recognize that not everyone or everything is meant to stay. The wrong people or misaligned opportunities can become stumbling blocks. When God allows these things to be removed, it's not to diminish you, but to make room for what truly aligns with His plan for your life. It may not make sense immediately, and it may even feel like you're being stripped of everything familiar. But trust that God is making space for something much better. We often hold tightly to things out of fear. Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of being without. But understand this: God never takes something away without the intention of replacing it with something more fitting, more fruitful, and more aligned with your purpose. It might not happen instantly, and the waiting can be hard. But what follows the pruning is often more rewarding than you imagined. What you perceived as a loss was really God's way of creating the right conditions for your next blessing. God doesn't strip things away to leave you empty. He removes what's unnecessary so He can pour into you abundantly. His vision for your life is greater than anything you can conceive, but first there must be room for the new. He doesn't operate through chaos, but through intentional shifts. If He's allowed something or someone to leave your life, trust that it was with purpose and divine foresight. So when you find yourself in a season where things are being taken away, remind yourself, it's not loss, it's preparation. God is setting the stage for your next season, and that requires removing what no longer fits the plan. Every shift, every separation, every detour is a sign that God is aligning your life with something greater. Embrace these moments with trust and let go with faith. There will be moments when the road forward becomes unclear, when the direction you thought was certain suddenly seems vague. The future might appear clouded, and it can leave you feeling uncertain or discouraged. You might start questioning your decisions, your path, and whether you'll ever reach what you've been working toward. But in those moments, it's vital to remember this timeless truth. God's timing is flawless. His plan for your life is more expansive and intricate than you can presently comprehend. While it's natural to focus on the immediate challenges, the setbacks and the delays, those very obstacles are the tools God uses to shape your path forward. Amidst uncertainty, you can trust that His timing is neither rushed nor mistaken. It is deliberately crafted for your good. Trusting in God's timeline is often one of the most difficult parts of the journey. We live in a culture that craves speed, immediacy, and quick outcomes. When we desire something, we want it now. Waiting feels unnatural, and the longer the wait, the more doubt can seep in. But God's timing is not governed by human impatience. His timing is guided by infinite wisdom and divine purpose. He is always at work, even when you can't see it. He is arranging circumstances, moving people, and setting the pieces into place for the perfect moment. Scripture tells us that God makes all things beautiful in their time. He is the ultimate designer, and His timing is never accidental. Consider Joseph's story. Sold by his brothers, falsely accused, forgotten in prison. For years it seemed like Joseph was being overlooked, but when the moment came, God raised him up to a position of great influence, not a moment too soon or too late. Each delay was necessary to prepare him for the responsibilities he would one day carry. They are matters of honor. As the prophet spoke about in God for His nature, His name was meant for the responsibilities He would one day carry. Just like Joseph, you may be walking through a season that feels full of uncertainty, hardship, or stagnation. You may be wondering why things aren't progressing as you hoped, or why doors continue to close. But take heart, God's delay is never His denial. He is using this time to build your strength, develop your character, and deepen your trust in Him. The waiting has a purpose. It is shaping you into the person who can walk boldly into the next season. The truth is, waiting is not passive. It is an active process of surrender, trust, and preparation. It's where your faith is tested and your roots are deepened. In the silence, God is speaking. In the stillness, He is working. Every moment is intentional. You are not being overlooked. You are being equipped. God is refining you, teaching you to depend on Him, and preparing you for what's to come. Sometimes the challenge isn't just in the waiting, but in aligning your heart with the rhythm of God's plan. Faith isn't just believing that God can, it's believing that He will, at the right time. It's about letting go of your own timeline and fully trusting that He knows what's best for you, even when you don't understand. Letting go of control can be frightening. Trusting in timing that you don't understand requires courage. But the alternative, forcing something before its time, can lead to disappointment, disillusionment, and burnout. God's timing brings peace, order, and fulfillment. It allows you to walk into your blessings fully prepared. If you're facing a season of uncertainty, hold tight to this truth. God is never late. He is never early. He is always right on time. His hand is upon your life, guiding you, even when the path seems hidden. Let go of the anxiety to figure everything out. Surrender the need to control every outcome. Release the pressure to force your way forward. Instead, rest in the assurance that God's plan is unfolding exactly as it should. When the appointed time arrives, everything will fall into place. Not by your might, but by God's divine orchestration. The doors will open, the clarity will come, and the blessing will flow. And when you look back, you will see that every moment of waiting was preparing you for that exact moment. You will be thankful for the delay. You will understand the pruning, and you will walk forward, not just with blessing, but with wisdom, strength, and purpose, ready to carry everything God has prepared for you. Know that He is shaping you for something far greater than you can comprehend, and He will lead you into His purpose step by step, always at the perfect time. In the end, you'll see that it was His timing that made all the difference in your life. There comes a moment in every believer's walk when a deep stirring begins to awaken within the soul, a yearning for something more, something far greater than the life currently being lived. This desire doesn't come from dissatisfaction with where you are. Rather, it is the subtle whisper of God's Spirit within, prompting you to rise and embrace the fullness of the purpose He has placed before you. It is the initial spark of transformation. That stirring is a divine signal that God is moving within you, shaping you for something beyond your current understanding. At first, this desire may feel unsettling. It might seem like a yearning that you can't quite put into words. You might find yourself increasingly restless, feeling discontent with routine and the life you've grown comfortable with. It's as though a quiet, persistent voice is repeating, "There's more. There's more waiting for you. You were created for something higher." This is not a craving for wealth, fame, or approval. It is a deeper spiritual hunger for God's will to unfold in new, profound ways in your life. God is stirring you because He has something remarkable for you to walk into. Sometimes that internal stirring brings with it anxiety or impatience. You might ask, why do I feel like this? Why am I no longer satisfied with where I am? But this sense of longing is actually a divine gift. It's God's way of alerting you that He's preparing your heart for the next chapter in your story. God has placed a special calling upon your life, and the desire for more is the first signal that you're being led into it. This stirring often grows into a strong dissatisfaction with mediocrity. You begin to realize your life isn't meant to stay confined within the borders of your current surroundings. You may find yourself thinking, I was made for more than this. More meaning, more purpose, more fulfillment. That's God positioning your heart for the greatness He's about to release. The unease you feel isn't by accident. It's a divine prompt calling you to rise. But know this, God doesn't move your spirit without intention. He never gives you a longing for more without making a way for it to be fulfilled. Whether your heart is longing to deepen your faith, to increase your impact, to serve at a higher level, or to pursue something that seems out of reach, that desire mirrors the very purpose God created you to pursue. When that stirring grows louder, it's time to act. You're being invited to take a bold step, to step out from the comfort of the familiar and into the unknown, trusting that God is walking with you. This stirring also brings a challenge, the challenge to move beyond the comfort zone that has kept you in place. When God begins to stir your soul, it means He's calling you into something greater. He's urging you to release the ordinary and step into the extraordinary. That longing you feel for something deeper is not a coincidence. It's a sacred calling to enlarge your vision, to take courageous steps, and to grow into the person He created you to be. The road to greatness is not without obstacles. It will ask for effort, for sacrifice, and for a willingness to leave behind the familiar to pursue the unfamiliar. But rest assured, the extraordinary blessings God has in store are far beyond anything you've envisioned. When God stirs your heart, He is preparing you to see the fulfillment of dreams that He Himself planted inside you. So if you're sensing that stirring today, that urge for something greater, don't dismiss it. Don't let it fade into the background. Welcome it. Lean into it. Let it move you into the life that God has destined for you. He who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it. That longing is proof that He's leading you to a place of significance, abundance, and influence that you haven't seen yet. Answer the call, trust in His timing, and step boldly into the purpose He's been preparing all along. The best truly is still ahead. When God is preparing to bless you with more than you can imagine, one of the most essential steps you can take is to walk forward in obedience, even when the road ahead is unclear. This can be incredibly difficult. Uncertainty about the future can stir up fear, hesitation, and second-guessing. We crave clarity. We want to know what's coming, how it will happen, and when. But more often than not, God reveals His plan one step at a time, and He asks us to trust Him enough to move forward without knowing everything in advance. Obedience doesn't mean having all the answers. It means responding to God's call with a willing heart, even when you don't see the full picture. Take Abraham, for instance. God told him to leave his homeland, to walk away from everything he knew and go to a land that God would show him. Abraham didn't receive detailed directions. He had no map. All he had was God's voice and a promise. And still, Abraham obeyed. He moved forward in faith. Because of his obedience, God blessed him beyond measure. You see, obedience is a key that unlocks divine favor. God isn't looking for someone who has it all figured out. He's looking for someone who will trust Him enough to take the next step. He's looking for a heart that says, even though I don't understand it all, I trust you enough to act. This doesn't mean you won't wrestle with fear or doubt. It means you choose to trust that God's wisdom is far greater than your own. His plans are always for your benefit, even when they're hard to grasp in the moment. God rarely reveals every detail from the beginning. He gives just enough light for the next step, and He asks you to trust Him with the rest. Why? Because faith is built in the process. Our character is shaped, our trust is deepened, and our dependency on Him is refined when we walk in obedience without full visibility. Stepping forward in faith is one of the most powerful ways to acknowledge God's sovereignty over your life. When you act in obedience, you're saying, God, I believe you're directing me. I believe that you will guide me with every step I take. Action matters. It's not enough to feel stirred in your spirit. It's not enough to sense that God is calling you higher. Faith demands action, as Scripture reminds us in James 2:26. Faith without works is dead. Obedience is not passive. It's not just waiting and hoping. It's active movement toward what God has placed in your heart, even when the way forward isn't fully lit. Think of Peter stepping out of the boat. When Jesus called him to walk on water, Peter didn't wait for the waves to settle or the wind to stop. He didn't ask for a guarantee. He stepped out in the midst of uncertainty, his eyes fixed on Jesus. And as long as he kept his focus, he walked in supernatural faith. It was only when fear crept in that he began to sink. God is calling you to that same kind of faith, to step out in obedience, even when the storm is swirling. When God gives you a calling, He won't always give you the complete plan. You might only get enough direction for one step at a time. But trust this, when God calls, He always provides. He provides the strength, the wisdom, and the grace you need to continue moving forward. And here's the beautiful truth: God blesses your willingness to take action. When you respond to His leading, even in uncertainty, He honors your faithfulness. Your obedience becomes a seed that He multiplies, growing into blessings that exceed your expectations. God isn't waiting for you to have everything perfectly figured out. He's waiting for you to trust Him enough to move. He's inviting you to take the next step, not out of fear, but out of faith. He's asking you to rise, to act, and to follow where He leads. Because as you do, He will be faithful. He will open doors no man can shut. He will meet you in your steps of obedience and guide you toward the future He's already prepared. So move. Don't delay waiting for perfect conditions. Don't hold back hoping for every question to be answered. Step forward in faith, take action in obedience, and watch as God begins to work in miraculous ways. The road ahead may be unfamiliar, but it's held firmly in God's hands, and He will walk with you every step of the way.